Welcome to another wonderful day of Emunah and Bitachon. You know, as we were talking the past few days, as we go through the campaign season, and we were saying yesterday, you learn more and more how to put Emunah to practicality. You know, and that's really the job of us in our nation, in our beautiful, beautiful, wonderful Jewish nation, is that we take difficulties and we learn how to grow through them. Which means we don't run away from the difficulty. We take something that's a test, and it could be any form of a test. It could be from stubbing one's toe to chas v'shalom more extreme physically or emotionally, mentally, financially, house, children, nachas. You know, so we take that nisayon and we grow from it. I want you to the great line. The only way out is through. Such a great line. The only way out of an nisayon is through. The only way out of a test is through. Which means don't run, don't avoid, don't hide, don't try to do something different. Take what Hashem gave you, take that nisayon, take that test, make the best of it, and use that to become better. On Friday nights, Shabbos, on the Shabbos, we go ahead and we make kiddush. We pick up the becher and we make kiddush. Take the cup of wine and we make kiddush. Wine is grapes that's squeezed out. Take that juice and you make kiddush in it. Kiddush, the goal of kiddush is you're sanctifying the day. You're making the day holy. So now, if wine or grape juice, whatever you use, comes from a grape, why don't you take a cup of grapes? Take the most beautiful grapes, take this gorgeous, nice bowl, lift up the bowl, and make kiddush on that. And the answer, I believe, is because there's a very special message in kiddush. The Jewish nation, us, what we do is we grow through. A grape is pressed, it's emulsified, it's mashed. The liquid that comes out of that's the liquid you make kiddush on. After you go ahead and you take something and you press it and you bring out the best juices, that's what you make kiddush on. In Judaism, in Yiddishkeit, we make kiddush, we sanctify. After we go through after we go through a test, we're like, wow, let's now say, how holy could we be from this thing? We don't fall apart and be like, I'll lay down and die. No, go through it, work with it. Now, there's another fascinating point, which is so important to understand, is that we sometimes decide how Hashem should help us, right? Campaign style, we're always like, okay, how am I going to make this money? Business style, how is Hashem going to help me? A person who was talking to me recently is trying to buy a house. How am I going to do this? Bitachon and Emunah means that a person has to recognize HaKadosh Baruch Hu has the plan. He knows how you're going to do it. You don't need to tell Hashem how to do it. You have to do hishtadlus. You have to go ahead and you have to try and you have to do your best and you have to work and you have to put your best effort in. But you don't have to tell Hashem, which means if you try to get a contract and you didn't get it, nothing to be upset about. Hashem said no. If you try to get a donor, right, this is practically today, you try to get a donor and the donor says, not today, not this year, I'm so sorry, won't get upset. It's easier said than done. Wait, don't get me wrong. For me to go give this share to all the people listening, it's like, yeah, wow, Groner is saying that you go ahead and say it. But it's a practice makes perfect. You want to know what the top of the mountain is. The top of the mountain is like, okay, that's what Hashem said. Because Hashem has a plan. Hashem knows how much money you're going to earn. Hashem knows exactly where you're going to be tomorrow, next week, in 3 weeks. Don't stress. Go through the regular cycles of life without having to tell Hashem what to do. You remember that story we said over a while ago? I love this story. I love saying it over. But we said over the story a while ago where a guy walks into a town and he sees a guy laying on the floor pressing with all his might to the ground. Yeah, guys, you don't remember the story? So the guy walks into town, he sees someone pressing with all his might to the ground. So he says to him, "Oh, Shalom Aleichem, how are you?" He's like, I can't answer you now. I'm holding down the ground. If I move my hands from the ground's going to explode. He's like, crazy guy. And he goes to the next block, and he sees a guy standing like this with his hands up in the air. He says, Shalom Aleichem, how are you? The guy's like, I can't stick my hand out. I'm holding up the sky. If I take my hands down, the whole sky is going to fall. Not a crazy guy. He goes to the third block. He sees a guy pressing with all his might against the wall of a huge building. He says to him, hello, how are you? He's like, I really can't talk to you now. I'm holding up the building. So he's like, these crazy guys. This guy's holding down the ground. He's holding up the sky. He's holding up the building. Comes to the edge of town, and this really made him like, think comes to the edge of town, and he sees a guy going like this, holding up one hand and going like this the other hand. Holding up this hand and going like this the other hand. And he's standing at the edge of the water. So he's like, sir, what are you doing? He's like, what am I doing? He says, I have the most important job in town. If I don't hold up those waves or call them in and stop them, the whole town will be flooded. Rabbi Waxman once said over the story, Rabbi Waxman says, we're those guys. We're the people. We're like, Hashem. Don't tell Hashem what to do. Hashem doesn't need you to hold up the world. Hashem doesn't need you to make things happen. Hashem, we're supposed to daven, we're supposed to believe, we're supposed to go to work. We get confused because when we go to work, we're like, oh, I'm doing that. And it looks like cause and effect. It's not cause and effect, it's the mitzvah. Hishtadlus is only a mitzvah. And hishtadlus doesn't just mean in your panas, it's in everything in life. Hishtadlus with nachas, hishtadlus with shalom bayis, hishtadlus with a house, hishtadlus with campaigns, hishtadlus with being machanach people, hishtadlus with working anywhere. All that hishtadlus means you have to do your best job. That's the mitzvah. Hashem takes care of the rest. You just have to be calm, whatever Hashem wants. Hashem is going to tell you how you're going to get it. Let's not try to hold up the world. Let's not try to hold down the ground. Let's not try to hold up buildings. Let's tell Hashem, you're in charge. Because otherwise, you become the puppet in the puppet show that thinks he's in charge. Right? That's just the puppet could think. I was like, oh, I'm in charge. Of course not. We should have a wonderful day. A day of recognizing Hashem is in charge. But most of all, the peace of mind to understand that Hashem is in charge. And then you'll have the best day of your life ever. Have a great day.